Welcome to the Breaking News Bears podcast. I'm your host, Chris Capone, joined alongside my co-host once again, Evan Davis. And the New York Yankees have made the move to trade for Chicago's Cody Bellinger. The former MVP joins his father in playing for the New York Yankees, and the Yankees continue to make moves in the wake of Juan Soto departing the team, officially announcing the signing of Max Fried yesterday, as well with the offseason still continuing, with news breaking just a couple of minutes ago that Nolan Arenado has declined a trade to the Houston Astros. These situations are all very fluid and everything is still falling into place. But Evan, since he's a former Dodger, what do you make of the Cody Bellinger trade to the Yankees?
Yeah, the return for Bellinger was like table scraps, so I guess it's kind of just like a win for the Yankees. But again, like I kind of think, and I think we were talking about this even before the trade, is like I think the Cubs were kind of shocked that Bellinger opted back into his contract. I think they were kind of thinking that he was going to opt out, but I mean, if you look at his numbers and probably what the market would have given him, like you might as well just take the $25 million on the table for you. I mean, Cody Bellinger just wasn't great in 2024. He did bat, 266, but not a great OPS at 751, which just indicates that he's kind of an average hitter, like just above average hitter, and just a huge drop off between 2023 and 2024, where, in 2023, his first year with the Cubs, 26 home runs. You thought maybe he got his career back on track. He had a 356 on base, the OPS near 900. You thought maybe this was the Cody Bellinger that we were kind of expecting. And then last year, just a really big drop off with 18 home runs, 266 batting average. So the batting percentage drops, a couple 30 points. And then the OPS dropped to 130 points. And you look at his numbers, like nothing really stands out to you when you look at his ex WOBA, his ex batting, ex slugging percentage. Like he's all in the lower half of that. So maybe he benefits from the short porch at Yankee Stadium out in right field, but I don't know, man. Like again, like it's hard to recover after losing Juan Soto, but I like the name Cody Bellinger is sexy, but when you look at the numbers, it's really not that great. I mean, now it kind of just solidifies that Judge is going to be in right field, Bellinger most likely is going to be in center field.
Yeah, and the thing about with the Cubs, I think this move made sense for them because you want PCA in center field full time now,
Hmm.
right? And you already have Michael Bush manning first, and you're not gonna move him to third, even though he
Yeah.
had played third occasionally. You want so there was really no real spot for Cody Bellinger right now
Hmm.
on this team, especially making the amount of money that he did. You weren't gonna play him at DH, especially because you have Seiya Suzuki to do that.
Hmm.
And now they just didn't really have a spot for him. So making this move, you take on paying what 5 million of his contract. Yeah, sure. You get Cody Poteet, and he's really like a nothing piece. He's not really
Uh-huh.
going to be doing much for them. But you get you this ensures PCA plays full-time center, which is
Hmm.
the perfect opportunity for the Cubs. See what he does. He's obviously an insane out of this world defender uh in center field, and now he can just consistently be out there
Hmm.
without no real threat of like, oh, Bellinger needs to get his playing time. He needs to play center field because Bush, we can't move him to third, so we have to put
Yeah.
Belly at first. It was the perfect thing for the Cubs to do. Now they can have Tucker in right, PCA in center. You can keep Michael Bush at third at first.
Hmm.
And you can see where everything falls into place after that. I think it just made sense to get off of Cody Bellinger, especially with the amount of money he was making and the production he put up last year.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think like when you look at it, as you alluded to from the Cubs perspective, like they already had their outfield, and when they traded for Kyle Tucker, we kind of knew that a Cody Bellinger trade was imminent, and with the Yankees needing more bats just to at least somehow recover from Juan Soto, it makes sense. But I I, I don't really know like I don't know how much different like and people were actually comparing like Cody Bellinger's baseball savant page to Alex Verdugo's baseball savant page, and it's honestly not that far off. And if you look at it, like Alex Verdugo actually has better numbers in some spots compared to Bellinger. So again, like, does this make the Yankees better? Sure. I think the name value of Cody Bellinger is what is really like drawing the media into being like, holy smokes, because even after signing Max Fried and trading for Devin Williams and now trading for Cody Bellinger, if you combine those three guys' wars together, it still doesn't even equate to Juan Soto. So I still don't think this team is better. Uh, and again, like I don't know if the road to the playoffs is going to be as easy, or a road to the World Series is going to be as easy for them as it was last year. I mean, obviously Soto now goes to the National League, Kyle Tucker now goes to the National League, but I still think these teams are going to be better. And we talk about it and we always say like it's so hard getting back to that spot because obviously now you have a shorter off season. So again, cool trade, but I didn't think it was like, wow, the Yankees just got so much better.
Yeah, I didn't really think of it as a move that, really puts the Yankees up even further. I think the Max Fried deal is a more of like a win now move and something that the Yankees are looking more towards. Like this is going to help our team in the long term right now.
Hmm.
But Cody Bellinger, I don't really know what he does on this team. I think Judge is a better defensive center fielder than Cody Bellinger, and I
Hmm.
guess you had to move Judge back to right because it's not good long term to have somebody with that much talent, playing center field all the
Yeah.
time. Too much on the legs, you're risking injury.
Hmm.
Um, it's better just to play right field or left field, like one of the corner spots. But
Yeah.
with Cody Bellinger now, he's basically the full-time center fielder.
Hmm.
You're not going to be. I don't even know if Trent Grisham's still under contract for the Yankees, but even if he is, you're not going to be playing him out in there. It's just this move just seems very like mid. It's a move. Yeah, you get the name. You said it. The name is a lot better than what the actual player is right now. If he turns into 2023 Cody Bellinger, it's a great deal for the
Hmm.
Yankees. But and yeah, the short porch is supposed to help him.
Hmm.
Uh, but I just don't see a real world where, this is a home run deal. I mean, you get him for nothing. It's basically taking a flyer on him for a year because I don't
Hmm.
think he might even take his contract again next year if he with that
Yeah.
other option. But still, it's like I don't really see how this move really changes the trajectory of the Yankees. As you said, the three guys they added don't even equate to the WAR total of Juan Soto. And Yankees
Hmm.
fans are talking about on Twitter that, oh, it's because he hit ahead of Judge. Oh, it's because of this and this and this. He's still Juan Soto and he's still one of the best players in baseball. It doesn't matter
Yeah.
where he goes. It's not like this thing put him up. He had 7.1 WAR with Washington in 2021.
Yeah.
He puts up high WAR numbers every season.
Yeah.
Of course, hitting ahead of Aaron Judge makes you a lot more of a threat, but he's not going to be hitting ahead of. He's still going to be hitting in the top of the lineup for the New York Mets with Francisco Lindor, Mark Vientos. There's still other hitters right there, and if they bring back Pete Alonso, he's still very likely to, put up very similar WAR totals. It's just I don't get the whole shtick of it right now where like getting Cody Bellinger and I know they're all salty about losing Juan Soto, but it just doesn't make sense to me to be, this salty about it.
Yeah, and like even when you look at it, like the highest strikeout numbers, highest strikeout percentage among active players in the postseason, it's Aaron Judge at one, and then Cody Bellinger at three. So, you're losing a bat in Juan Soto, who is second all time in on base percentage career wise at 421. This was an issue for the Yankees in the World Series, especially where they were striking out literally and figuratively in big moments. And like now you're adding another guy he can put power on the ball, but when he's not, like he's more than likely striking out.
Yeah, and you already talk about it with we've seen Aaron Judge come up small in the postseason multiple times after time. And now, the guy who really popped off in the postseason for them, Juan Soto, is now a New York Met. And, you just alluded to it with Cody Bellinger being third all time in strikeout percentage.
Hmm.
It's kind of, is this an ominous thing for things to come in next October if the Yankees are stay healthy throughout the year and make the playoffs?
Hmm.
Possibly. It could be another, situation where it's like we need someone to rely on, and we can't keep relying on Giancarlo Stanton to be our best hitter in the postseason when we
Yeah.
have Aaron freaking Judge.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I just don't get the whole, you know, talking smack about the move and being like, oh, Cody Bellinger, he's still the guy, Last year he or 2023 he was really good.
Hmm.
Yeah, the multiple players were really good in 2023 and fell off the next year. Paul
Yeah.
Goldschmidt. There's players that
Yeah.
fall off every year. I don't get the whole glazing of Cody Bellinger for the Yankees. It's just a name at this point.
Yeah.
You never know what you're getting year by year. He hasn't been consistently good since 2019 to 2020. Like
Yeah.
it's basically since 2017 to 2020, the only time he was consistently good. Since then, it's been wishy-washy with every season. He could be either, really awful or above average. Like
Yeah.
it's you never know what you're gonna get.
Exactly. It's the reason why the Cubs were just so willing to trade him.
Yeah. Following breaking news from Feinsand that Nolan Arenado declined a trade to the Houston Astros
Yeah.
to play third base for them, and he cited that it's just too early to make a move like that. I think he's, kind of fibbing here. I think he's kind of, he just didn't want to go to Houston without no assurance of what their real direction is right now.
Hmm.
Uh, what do you make of the move, Evan?
Well, I basically that is like I again, and we said when they made the trade for Kyle Tucker, it's like, what's this team's identity? Like Jose Altuve's getting up there in age. Yordan Alvarez is right now your only cornerstone piece that you're obviously going to keep, but like he's also not getting any younger. Like Kyle Tucker is a phenomenal right fielder, and when they traded him, and now it's like, yeah, they're still in play for Bregman, but like, look, I don't know. And if I'm Arenado, it's like, yeah, like I'm basically just going to a slightly upgraded version of the St. Louis Cardinals. Like the Houston Astros, like their farm team or whatever you want to call it, like their development system, like it's not that crazy in terms of like, yeah, that's a team where like you could totally see the upside with them. Like they really are struggling in that department because they even traded all of those prospects to bring back Justin Verlander. So I get it from Nolan Arenado's perspective, where it's like, yeah, I don't really know what this team is looking like in the next what he has 3 years left on his contract. Like I can't see the Astros even being World Series contenders with that. So I get it. And like the reports are that he wants to play for the Dodgers, but it's like Max Muncy is there. Like what do you like? You can't really go to that team when the Dodgers already have a third baseman and to say like, oh, it's too early in the offseason. It's like, dude, you have a no trade clause. Like it doesn't matter, like not every team is obviously going to go after you because if they for sure know that like he's a full no trade. And like if I'm the White Sox or the Angels, like I'm not calling the Cardinals to trade for Arenado. Like I already know that deal is gonna get shut down. Like we obviously know the Rockies probably wouldn't even pick up the phone and to a certain extent, like the Pittsburgh Pirates are out, obviously. Like they're teams that internally know that they're out. So with Nolan Arenado to say like, oh, it's too early in the offseason, like BS, it's too early in the offseason. Like if the right trade would have been made, you obviously would have said yes to it. The cards are in your hand.
Yeah, and I think obviously he wants to, go to a team where he has a lot more of a chance to contend. And I think if it comes down to it, I think that's one of the best teams that he could actually go to. It just depends on what the Astros are actually, what are they doing? What are
Yeah.
they thinking of doing? Are they going to try and contend again? Are they going to try and, do anything to get better? Or are they just going to keep selling away assets, uh, and basically keep bleeding dry the talent from this team that won the World Series 2 years ago?
Yeah.
It's there's still questions to be had about this team, about the Astros. But if I'm Nolan Arenado, there is a very short list of teams that I'm thinking about, who would I waive my no trade clause for? And even if you might want to waive your no trade clause for that team, there's no guarantee that they want you because of the decline you've had over the last couple of years.
Hmm.
Uh, like one team, if I was Nolan Arenado, I'd try and get force a trade to the Phillies if I were him, but
Hmm.
I don't think Philadelphia is really, they've been talking about it. What's his name? Rob Thompson was on MLB Network and said, "No, we're not thinking about trading Alec Boehm." Now, I don't know about the whole if the front office feels the same way, but
Well,
if there was a trade there involved where Alec Boehm gets sent to St. Louis and Nolan Arenado goes to Philly, that'd be a team that I would waive my no trade clause for. It just, but I don't see a team wanting to take on that much money for a guy who in the last couple of years hasn't really been consistent.
yeah, and that's the thing. It's like with the Phillies specifically, like you're already paying a good amount to Castellanos. He's $100 million player. We obviously know what Bryce Harper is getting. Aaron Nola and Zach Wheeler are also making upwards of $100 million. And then you also have Kyle Schwarber that's making a good amount of money as well. JT Realmuto's up there as one of the highest paid catchers in baseball. So yeah, like they have a high payroll, and when you bring in a guy like Nolan Arenado and replace him for a guy in Alec Boehm who obviously is on a cheaper contract, then yeah, then you're talking about luxury tax stuff and all of that, and this is a team in the Phillies that is still going to spend in free agency. I'm sure they're going to want to maybe tack on a couple more relievers. We know their bullpen was very, very suspect in that series against the Mets. They had like, what was it, an 11 ERA in that NLDS matchup. So I don't know if Nolan Arenado is the direction you should even be looking at. Like, even if you trade Alec Boehm to another team and you even get back a relief pitcher in return, like, although it's not the best player in the world, like Edmundo Sosa could play third base for the Philadelphia Phillies. So, like, you still have a cheaper option there. Like I don't think a power hitting third baseman that is still a gold glover but is obviously going to regress is the answer for the Philadelphia Phillies, who, if you look at their track record ever since making the World Series, are losing one round. Like are they're getting eliminated the round prior. So it's like lost in the World Series, then they lost in the CS, and now they lost in the DS. So I don't think adding Nolan Arenado is really a difference in that lineup that's already just so prolific.
Yeah, and you look at most teams that are, in that contention kind of range, most of them already have a third baseman that they're pretty comfortable with. Like
Hmm.
you look at the Dodgers, they're comfortable with Max Muncy. You look at the Braves, they're comfortable with Austin Riley. The Mets are comfortable with Mark Vientos.
Hmm.
There's so many teams and teams that even aren't in the playoffs are comfortable with their third baseman right now, where you have like the Red Sox with Rafael Devers. You have uh the Padres with Manny Machado, even though they were in the playoffs. But like there's so many teams that are going to be slated to potentially be in the playoff hunt next year that
Yeah.
already kind of have their positions kind of set. And the
Yeah.
one team that doesn't right now is the Houston. You don't know where the direction's going if they're going to sell off any more players. So I get wanting to wait for now. I feel like by the end of the offseason, he might end up actually being an Astro. He might low key just be waiting to see, all right, what are they actually planning on doing? Because I don't really
Yeah.
know what else he's really looking for. An interesting team, though, that I'm just seeing right now based on WAR average by position. Kansas City Royals had negative zero point 0.7 WAR at third base this past
Hmm.
year. Now, I know they have Michael Garcia,
Hmm.
and they've been using him, but he'd be a decent, you know, bring there. But like I said, there's not many teams right now that are looking for a third baseman.
Hmm.
It's just a hard fit right now for him to really go anywhere besides, like I said, Houston. Like
Yeah.
it's just tough right now.
Yeah. I don't know what's gonna happen. I mean, he's obviously going to get traded. Just it depends on where it is. But yeah, like to your point, a lot of these contending teams outside of the Philadelphia Phillies like have a third baseman. You look at even the Diamondbacks and the Padres, like Manny Machado, Eugenio Suarez, like a lot of these teams, they don't need that position. They would really only use Arenado as a DH. Like the Royals would be interesting, but if I'm Arenado, like the team overachieved last year. Like they don't have a proven track record of consistently winning baseball games. Do I want to go there for the next 3 years? I don't know. I think if I'm Arenado and I'm trying to win my first ring, I would at least want to go to a team that has a proven track record. The problem is like there's not many options.
Yeah. One team that's interesting that just traded their third baseman is the Chicago Cubs, but I don't think the Cardinals and Cubs are doing a trade with each other, especially for
Yeah.
someone that big like Arenado. But there's really no other, you know, no other position for him to go. Like right now, I don't think the Jays are going to be in on him. If they're going to be in on anybody, they'd go for Bregman, who'd be a lot cheaper to get right now.
Hmm.
Certainly not 30 million or however much Arenado's making. I think it's like 27 million or something.
Hmm.
Bregman would be a lot cheaper than that right now. And that's another thing too. Maybe he's just seeing where Alex Bregman signs.
Yeah.
If Bregman signs somewhere, maybe he just sticks it out with St. Louis for another year or see what happens. I don't know, it's a very interesting situation right now.
Yeah. Curious to see what goes on with that.
Yeah, just looking at other news, the Baltimore Orioles signed a one-year deal with Tomoyuki Sugano from the Japanese Baseball League. And one of the most interesting things I thought about his stats was when Jeff Passan tweeted about it. I was like, oh, he only threw 100 and something strikeouts in 167 innings. And then I looked at it. Uh, what's his name? He only walked 16 people in those 156 innings.
Yeah,
I
and
was
he's
like,
35.
and he's 35 years old. I'm like, how is this guy's command this insane? Now,
Yeah.
I have no idea how it translates to the major leagues, but that's such an interesting, when I first read the tweet of them signing him, I was like, oh, cool. They're just getting like a just a fifth starter, I guess, because,
Yeah.
they're not sure about Corbin Burns right now, which is another interesting situation. But 16 walks in 156 innings. That's an insane rate.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like the 16 walks is insane. It's kind of like a Zach Eflin type who they have under
Have
contract for this year, where it's like Eflin had barely any walks, but he also didn't have high strikeout numbers. I just think the one thing that won't play in the MLB is the fact that it's 111 strikeouts and 156 innings. Like,
in
if you
Japan.
have that in the MLB, it's not going to equate to a 1.67 ERA because it's just ground ball pitchers you rarely see. I mean, outside of Reynaldo Lopez, but even with his 2 ERA, his expected ERA was like 4.8. Like his metric numbers were not that great. The Orioles, I feel like they've had an F off season. Like I really thought, especially after how horrible they did at the trade deadline, I for sure thought like, okay, you've known for a while Corbin Burns is not going to re-sign. It's pretty obvious. I mean, we're December 18th and he's still not a Baltimore Oriole. Like if he really wanted to be an Oriole by now, I'm sure something would have been finalized. And I thought they would have gone after a Max Fried or a Blake Snell because like they do need a better left-handed pitcher. Like Cade Povich is just not it as of right now. Like he could be good, but for the Orioles' sake, like they need someone more proven. And then you're telling me that they're bringing in this 35-year-old who, although he doesn't walk anybody, he also just doesn't really strike out that much either. So like, I don't know how good he's going to be in the MLB. Like, and then when you look at a guy like a Yamamoto, or even when like Tanaka was coming in, like those were guys that were dominating in strikeouts as well. So that can correlate to the MLB. Like hitters in the MLB will outweight you. Like if you're a pitcher that doesn't have like that commander, the stuff going that day, like they'll outweigh you. And the KBO, no disrespect, but I consider that to be like quadruple A, where it's just like the level above triple A but below the MLB.
Yeah, and you say about Corbin Burns, it's really been a situation right now where it's seeming like a two-man race. It seems like it's only the Giants and the Jays that are the real, threats to get him. But it's
Yeah.
like, how much is he getting right now? Like
Hmm.
he's guaranteed probably 200 million
Hmm.
for around 7 years. And it's like why I get why he hasn't signed yet. He's probably still trying to, raise up his price but the Orioles really fumbled this
Yeah.
where they made this trade and it seemed like such a good time at the deal to make this trade. You get a 30-year-old former Cy Young winner, one of the most consistent pitchers in baseball on your
Hmm.
team. He's your new like bona fide ace. And you let him walk after one playoff start where he
Yeah.
did the best that he could, but the rest of your team couldn't hit. And then what do you do in the offseason? you get nobody to supplement your hitting. You sign Tyler O'Neill. Like,
Yeah.
and you're gonna lose Anthony Santander most likely. So you're really losing hitting because you're replacing Santander with Tyler O'Neill.
Yeah.
And how much are you really expecting, Gunnar Henderson, Adley Rutschman, Colton Cowser? How much of a jump are you expecting from Jackson Holiday to really supplement this offense and, boost your team even more when you're going to lose Corbin Burns? Your number one ace is going to be a mix between who? Grayson Rodriguez, Zach Eflin. Like it's such
Yeah.
the rotation's mid. The rotation's
Yeah.
just mid.
Everyone
And
is mid.
yeah, you lose your ace. I don't see who like no one else on this starting rotation scares me. Like
Yeah.
it's not a scare like the bullpen once Felix Bautista comes back, yeah, then it's a bit scary. But even then, Yanir Cano was good this year, but he wasn't insane like he was last year. He had a 1.3 whip.
Yeah.
Obviously, Craig Kimbrell was a disaster for them and had to get waived,
Hmm.
DFA'd or wherever. But the rest of the team, you just don't know what you're getting, and it's injury prone, it's mid, it's not consistent. And your one consistent piece you had in your pitching lineup was Corbin Burns, and you're letting him walk after 1 year.
Yeah. It's a mess that's going on there. It really is. And it just sucks because the Orioles are such a young, fun team. They just need better pieces in there, more veterans in there. And they're not allowing it. Ownership's not allowing it. And I thought with new owners, they would try something different.
Yeah, that's the real sad part about it. They get the new owner, they trade for Corbin Burns. Everyone's like, holy crap, the Orioles are making moves. They're gonna sign Corbin Burns long term.
Hmm.
Baseball in Baltimore is back. They're gonna, be contending for the AL for years. And then they started off hot and they just slowly kept tapering during the year. And now you're just basically stuck with, all right, we just gotta we just gotta believe in this team to get better, so much better that I don't know.
Yeah.
And there's, like you said, they fumbled the trade deadline. They traded Connor Norby and Kyle Stowers and traded him for Trevor Rogers.
Oh
And
God.
that was a disgusting trade. And now,
Yeah.
like,
Ugh.
think about it now. There could have been a trade for a starting pitcher with those two right now. Probably could have got way more than Trevor Rogers.
Could have gotten
Uh,
an
just
MLB pitcher.
yeah, just how hot Connor Norby ended the year for the Marlins, they could have ended up a lot better out of this. But
Yeah.
hey, if Corbin Burns is a Blue Jay, it's all better.
Hmm.
But
It's
yeah,
awesome.
that'll just about do it for this episode of Breaking News Bears. I once again want to thank my co-host Evan Davis, and I once again want to thank you guys, the listeners, for listening to another episode of Breaking News Bears. As the offseason slowly continues, there's still some notable names out there. This is really the only moves that have happened in the last couple of days, with Cody Bellinger being moved and the Orioles signing the Japanese pitcher.
Yeah.
But there's still so many free agents out there. There'll be more news to come, and there'll be more Breaking News Bears to come.